Hi guys and welcome back to Milk Mummies. Today I'm joined by the phenomenal SheRise Blackman, actor, writer, executive producer and the creative force behind Audible's Do Not Disturb. SheRise is a storyteller whose work spans stage, screen and audio, all while navigating faith, purpose and motherhood. This conversation is honest, inspiring and full of gems for anyone building a life and career on their own terms. Let's get into it. SheRise, hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for making the time and for coming down because, as you know, it was a stretch. It was a juggle. It was all the things trying to schedule this in.
It's fine. It's honestly, really it's life.
Yeah.
Life be lifing.
Life be lifing, for sure. Before we dive into all things motherhood, I wanted to ask, for anyone meeting you for the first time, how would you describe who you are beyond the titles? Because we can get into the titles, but there are many a title with SheRise.
Who am I?
Yeah.
I'm a child of God.
Yeah.
I'm his daughter.
Yeah.
I'm a seer. I see people. I'm an empath. I feel. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to do my bit in the world before God takes me home.
Okay.
That's who I am.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Oh, I love that. That was great. When did storytelling become your calling, or when did it feel like it was your calling?
Oh, I always say this, my grandma.
Yeah.
My grandma is the best storyteller. She is your archetypical Jamaican everything. Everything. But my gosh, can my grandma spin a story? She's an oral storyteller.
Love that.
Just ever since I was a little girl.
Yeah.
Started with Bible stories. And then just any story she tells, you're sucked in.
Yeah.
And it's funny. And even it's a sad story. There's a twist and a twang. And I think I inherited that.
Love it.
I absorbed that. I saw how that made other people feel.
Yeah.
You know, when everyone was in the kitchen and grandma was telling a story and she had the room.
Yeah.
And so you grow up and you see that.
Yeah.
And then, from a very young age, funny story, when I was in infant school. And the teacher was looking for a book called The Sun and the Wind.
Okay.
But I knew the story.
Did you?
Off by heart.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, I know that story. I was always put your hand up, volunteer. And then she came back. Obviously, she couldn't find the book. And she said, would you tell the story to the receptions? And I was like, huh? And she took me down. They all sat on the carpet back in the day.
Yeah.
I grew up in the 80s on the carpet.
Yes.
And there was all that, reception class. So. And I think I must have been like the top infants, year 3. And I started to tell the story of The Sun and the Wind. And it was a very short story. It's a very short story. But my goodness, if I'm thinking of an origin story, it was then.
Oh, I love that.
That was my origin story. And
That's brilliant.
it just grew from that.
No, I love that. Even you just creating that picture of what it was like at home with your grandma being such an oral storyteller, and that's just how you guys were. You're cooking in the kitchen, you're doing whatever, but that's just the way in which stories, information and stuff were shared. That's just amazing. I miss that. My grandma's the same, my mum's the same.
Yep.
My mum is a hilarious individual with no filter and all the things.
None.
I always talk about your mum, you know this. And that's how she tells the story, no matter how fanciful and crazy it can get, but that's how she is.
Takes you a journey.
Completely. I feel like I miss that.
It's definitely something I think that community was, because obviously when I went to Jamaica as a young child, everybody does that. It's not uncommon.
Yeah.
You don't just say, oh, this happened and that happened.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not how you deliver information.
No, of course not. You have to.
You've got there's characters, there's locations,
100%.
There's first act, second act, like
who you're gonna cuss in the story, the nickname for that person.
Side story, because then they went off on a tangent and they had to bring it back to the main story. So when you grow up in that environment, it's hard not to absorb that. And then obviously, fortunately, I can put a pen to a piece of paper
and do the same
and do that.
Yeah, no, I love that. Before we come to present day and where you are with career and motherhood, what was life like for you before motherhood? Did you know you wanted to be a mum? Where was your head with all of that?
So I'm the eldest of 5 children. So I was a mum before I even was a mum.
Eldest daughter, got it.
And the gaps are big. So my youngest, my brother, is 14 years younger than me.
Okay.
Actually 15, because the year he was born I turned 15.
Yeah.
So then it's 10 years and then 7 years. So there's I was raising kids before I had any. So I think for me, I was never like, oh, and then I met my now husband, then boyfriend. And it's weird. I know this sounds so cheesy, but I'm going to say it. Once we hooked up and we were together, I knew I wanted his children.
Okay.
Which I think is probably not a very feminist thing to say, but...
Not at all.
For me, it was a very thing like, he is going to make an incredible dad.
Yeah.
And
No, sorry to even interrupt you. You saying that's not a feminist thing to say. Sorry. Life is life, and you know, once you know that's what it is. It was the same thing with me and my partner. I knew that that's the father of my kids.
Yeah.
And vice versa for him. So when you know, like...
But it was I was very young. We met, like, we've been together for like 28 years this year.
Yeah, wow.
But it was very clear that we were aligned very early on. Like when we spoke about family and what we think, we were just on the same page. And I think that's one thing that's been consistent with me and George, is that we are always been on the same page with all the ups and downs of life and marriage. But children, I wanted to procreate with this man.
Oh, I love that.
Because I just was like,
Was that scary to know at any point?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I shouldn't have been like, when it entered my mind, I kind of like batted it away. I was like, don't be so ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? But it stayed, and then obviously we had children, and I was right. He was incredible father, and hands on. Wouldn't like, I'd wake up to breastfeed, and he'd be like, you know what I mean? And so I don't remember really life much before the children. And that's not like to say, it's because I like that. It felt like a very destined thing, predestined, pre-aligned thing to happen, to have the because I was there petitioning for more. He's the one who had to be like, can we just stop? We've got 3 under 5.
Really? Even with 3 under 5, you just said?
I wanted another. I'm from a big family.
Fair enough,
I am. And you know, I had the 2 girls, I had my son. I was like, and he was like, I beg, no. And then at one point he was like, I was like, it's my body, my choice. My body, my choice. He's like, babe, we can talk about this. I can't believe you're shutting up. No, we can talk. But I'm going to tell you now, I'm not going to be the dad.
I love it. Wow. He knew where he wanted. That's hilarious.
And so, it was just, it was, but I could have had a couple more.
Fair enough. All right. It's good to know. At least you knew, right?
I'm done now.
That's it. Fair enough. No, in terms of like work and career ambition, what was that like as well for you before kids? Or
I was hella ambitious. Like that was one of the things George said that he loved about me, was that I was like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I was very much like, I want to go into the world of acting and performing. You know, I went to the Brit School back in the day. I went to Guildhall as well. So, you know, it was, I was like, that was all I ever wanted to do since I was a little girl.
Yeah.
You know, I fell in love with Imitation of Life and those movies. Like, I was a big black and white Hollywood era movie lover. Loved film. Yeah. Took an A-level in film. Loved film. So it just felt like the natural, like, that's what I'm going to do. Yeah. And George was super supportive of it all. But life happens. And I think the industry wasn't ready for me then.
Okay. Understood.
If I'm really honest, it wasn't ready for me and my big ideas.
Okay, all right.
Seems like it is now.
There we go. How the tables have turned. Love it. If we can, taking you back a little bit to say birth, pregnancy with your little ones, what was that like for you? Or how supported, how informed did you feel during that time?
It's an interesting one because I felt like, oh, no, I can do this with my eyes closed. And then the feelings happen. And I think that's something I've always expressed to people. There's one thing being a nurturer and a carer, which I am inherently. I'm a nurturer, whether it was by design or it was
just environment.
Yeah. That's up for debate. But nevertheless, taking care of people was very inherent to me. So I was like, I got this. But then I gave birth to the most incredible little girl who I could not understand how the love is remarkable. And I remember, like I said, I always say to her now, like, she's 21, 22 this year. I looked in, her eyes were big, black, looking straight at me. And I remember thinking, finally, you're here. I've missed you. I've been waiting for you. And it just felt like I had been waiting. That's why I said, like, to me, sometimes it feels like a blur before, because it doesn't, it felt like life began for me when I had my little girl. And she was my whole world. And then the same with my second little princess and my son. Like, for me, I really do, motherhood is definitely one of my biggest achievements ever. And the incredible people that they are. And so when, back in the beginning, once I had her, I was like, that was my focus. That was all I ever wanted, was to just, and I never stopped being a storyteller. So my kids will testify to this. Story time, bedtime was their favourite.
Oh, I love
time.
that. Yeah.
I would dress up. I would act it out. I thought this was like all mums did. My kids were sat on them bunk beds and it was a whole theatrical production.
Oh, I love that.
There was props. It was like, can we get, like, my kids love story.
Oh my
They love the
gosh.
theatre. As soon as they could sit on one of those boosters, they were at the West End.
Oh, man.
And so it just didn't go away. And then when I got to like later on, I'm kind of shooting across the story, but when I felt like the industry was calling, I was like, oh God, I've been out of it for a hot minute. And it was my children that inspired me to go back in.
That's brilliant.
My daughter said to me, Mum, if you could do, because I'm always telling them to go for their dreams.
Yeah.
She said, if you could do anything, what would you do? And I was like, being your mum. And she's like, yeah, no, seriously, what would you do? If you could, like, apart from being our mum.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not going to lie, acting and that. And she said, why aren't you doing it? And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, why aren't you doing it?
Oh, man.
And I was like, but why aren't you doing it?
High five, baby girl. That's brilliant.
That was baby girl. She was probably about 14 at the time. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And then I did. And she was just like, that's my mum, as they do.
Oh, my days.
Mum. I probably do the wrong fingers, whatever. She's like, Mum, that's not how you do it. But it was that kind of like, especially my middle one. Oh my God, my Zuzu cracks me up. She's like, when I got cast, she's like, telling everyone, I'm like, darling, I signed an NDA.
Oh, yeah, no, don't tell anyone.
She's like, but it's somebody, like, it's just how, when you see your kids proud of you, I'm like, that's all the motivation you need to deal with all the knockbacks that this industry throws at you.
Oh my gosh. I know before you touched on it earlier saying that you didn't feel like the industry was ready for you then. I feel like I think we're going to be jumping back and forth.
Yeah,
so.
I think we are.
C'est la vie. Obviously today, I would say your career, from what I've seen, it's acting, it's writing, it's leading. Did you always see yourself as a multi-hyphenate type of individual?
Yeah, 100%. I just can't do just one thing.
Yeah.
I just can't. I'll be doing this and I'll be like, oh, I'll do this as well. And I'll do this. It's just who I am.
Yeah.
Like, I just like to have my finger in a lot of pies. So yeah, I knew that I was going to be. And I haven't finished with the hyphenates. There's a few more that I'll be adding on soon.
Perfect.
So producing was incredible. Like, I didn't know that was a thing until I did. And then I was like, oh yeah, I'm a producer.
Because I was just about to touch on that. So Do Not Disturb. I mean, I think that's been a huge success. I love that it's on Audible. I love the actors that you have behind it. What was the spark behind that idea? And obviously, as you said, that's now adding the producer.
Yes, I was an executive
producer
producer on that. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. I wanted to see it.
Okay.
That was it. Like,
nice.
There is nothing that speaks to, in the entertainment world on this side of the pond, black female friendship, black love.
Yeah.
And so someone's got to write it.
Yeah.
And so that's why I wrote it.
Okay.
I've got girlfriends. That's our girl group.
Yeah.
You know, me and my husband have been together for, I always say that Keith and Saffron's relationship was me and George in the beginning.
Okay.
And then Andrew and Sade's is us now.
How does he find that?
He just tries to stay out of it. He's just like, please stop writing about our life. I'm like, it's not, it's inspired, babe.
There we
it's
go.
Inspired.
And it's so relatable. People can mirror and they see themselves in that. So it's
regardless. And I think that's what I've always said is that, you know, obviously it's very, you know, black centered, but anyone in a relationship can relate. These are everyday relationship scenarios. They're not out left, that are culturally. They're not.
Yeah.
It's maybe how we react. You can see the culture in that.
Yes, understood.
But generally speaking, the subject matters are life.
Yeah, it's fully relatable. Okay, so what was the spark behind that idea? Said you wanted to see it. Was that difficult to get it off the ground or get people attached to it? What was that like for you?
It actually wasn't.
Okay.
So I think because it was so... I wrote it for me and it wasn't to cater to anybody else apart from me as a consumer would want to hear, see. And I kept it very on that when I shared it, people also wanted to, I wasn't alone.
Yeah.
So then it was like, oh, this is really good. This is something that needs to be out. And then it just kind of snowballed from that. Other people, the more people that saw it, the more people it was sent to, the more people were like, they really connected with it.
Nice.
That it was like, why don't we have something like this out? Why isn't this out? Why haven't we had something like this? And I think that's been the feedback for a long time, is that actually this is very funny, very relatable, hella authentic. So the work spoke for itself, really. That's, I think in that, I've never had to convince anybody. people just
That's
were like,
great.
this is good.
Yeah. Roll with it.
Roll with
Brilliant.
it.
Oh
So
my gosh. What was stepping into an executive producer role? What was that like in terms of like, I guess, finding your own voice and power? What did it teach you about that in that role?
that all the years of me being a bossy boots
It's paid off.
has paid off. That me there loving a delegation works. Husband doesn't like it at home, but boy, that's a whole role. That's a whole job.
Yeah.
Okay, of just making sure that you're across everything.
Yeah.
So being the EP was like, I was like, oh no, this is very me. This is very on point.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
That's amazing. Has it made you want to step more, I guess, work on more projects in that role?
Yes.
Yeah.
I really love being there from the beginning to the end, seeing it come, like being across that. That's like, okay, that's very me. You know, I want to be involved in marketing. I want to be involved in casting. I want to be involved in all the different aspects.
Nice.
And so I'm like, oh yeah, okay. That's definitely a role that I embody.
Okay. I know that your kids are older now, but how did you find juggling, stepping into that role? For the first time, no? As an EP, right?
Yeah, I think the first time.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd produced, but like on like a broadcast level, like up there.
Yeah. How did you find balancing that with, I guess, being a mum? I guess today, and then also maybe even stepping back, as you said, your one of your children were 14 at the time when they told you no, go back to pursuing acting. How have you found that?
That
balance
was real.
juggle?
That was a kind of like 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Okay.
Because again, at that stage, you know, I've got to integrate myself back into the industry, which is a whole new, like, it's completely different.
Yeah.
Then at that time, we went into a global pandemic.
Yeah.
So
Of course,
that was
that's
like
a
whole other thing. And then at the same time, you know, I was aware that, you know, where I'd been so hands-on, bedtimes,
Yes, of
school,
course.
you know, taking them to all their clubs and activities.
Yeah.
My husband was now picking up that slack as well. And I felt a bit like trying to still do everything and not realising that other people can help.
Yeah.
Like I said, that executive producer role was great for me. I'm a bit of a control freak, apparently, allegedly. But it was difficult in myself. It was like an internal battle because I don't think it was something outside. Like the support was there.
Yeah.
People wanted to see me do well. They wanted to help. They knew what I was trying to achieve. Even the kids were like, we get it. Mum's doing this. It's okay. So there was no like guilt in that sense.
Yeah.
But then for me, I didn't want to be like, oh, everything's this.
Got you.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I didn't want it to be like, and it wasn't, but in myself, I was a bit worried about that. Like, you know, my kids are so used to having me around. I'm, you know, I do this, I do that. And I'm still trying to do what I could, but I will say I did put a lot of pressure on myself.
Okay.
I think I put too much pressure on myself, which is a bit counterproductive. But hey, we live and learn.
Yeah, no, it's true. And also, as you said, you knew what role you were playing at home or in that space with them. It's relinquishing that in some way, shape, or form is difficult, or just rearranging that or reframing that is really, really difficult to do. But yeah, I think for anyone having to sort of navigate that space, if you've got the support as well, like it's possible, it's doable, it's fine. You have to kind of give yourself some grace, I guess, understanding that.
Yeah, I just think it was, I look back and think, gosh, you really did push yourself. Like, you know, I was like traveling like 2.5, 3 hours up to studios, and then like a lot of people would like stay closer to.
Yeah.
I wanted to see my kids at night time, so I would then do the 2.5 an hour drive back, and I did that every single day for like how many months, and I look back, how did I do?
Yeah,
I don't know how I did that, but hey, we do we don't know our limits until we push them. So, and I'm I wouldn't I'm glad, but I just think sometimes I could have probably gone a little bit easier on myself.
Okay. But it shapes us.
Exactly. It's just, I think now if I could give somebody advice, I'd be like, it's okay. They're not going to need therapy because mum took a couple of months on a project.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
No, I hear you. Before we started, when you described yourself, faith was very much at the forefront of what you said. And I feel like it plays a big part in your journey. How has that anchored you through like the highs and challenges of, I guess, our industry, but also navigating motherhood as well?
Just God first. Like anytime I start hitting my head against the wall with something, I'm reminded, this is not for you to deal with, SheRise.
Okay.
This is not in your... you're meant to leave this at the altar.
Yeah.
And so, and that's just like marriage, relationships, work. Remember, there is a creator that has brought you to this place, put this inside of you. He gave you this gift. He will ensure you have all the tools to be able to. And so it's me in my own human. My friend said something incredible to me the other day. We're all spiritual beings having a human experience. And I was like, that is so true. So I have to trust and relinquish, which again is not easy for me. Right. But my faith is a constant, just staying rooted in the word and staying rooted in God's word. It just always brings it back to what are you doing? Why are you doing it? And do you need to be holding on to this? Or do you need to be giving this? And I'm like, because when I hold on to it, and when I leave it and go, do you know what? You handle this, God. My goodness, his turnaround is much quicker than mine. I'm like, wow, that was quick. Sometimes I'm like, rude. Did you have to be so obvious? I mean, okay. I was like, okay. Yeah. I mean, like literally straight away, as soon as I just go, your will be done.
Okay.
And then he's like, let me do. And I'm like, okay, well, that was just embarrassing.
Were there ever moments where quitting felt easier than continuing? Especially, I guess, from the acting side of things, I can imagine perhaps that was just paused because motherhood is the phase that you were in.
Yeah, that was a season.
But in terms of maybe getting back into the industry or understanding that I have to get back into it or anything like that, was there ever a time when it felt like, you know what, do I need to let this go? Do I not? Or not at all?
Well, it was God that told me to go back in. So obviously Nia was the physical manifestation of that, my daughter. She was like, but then after that, obviously it's a bit of prayer. Yeah. And God was like, oh, no. Now's when I want you to go back in. Yeah. And I say this, but it did feel like every door was opened. Every crooked path was set straight.
Because I was going to ask you, what were the challenges before? As you said, it didn't feel like, there was a point when it didn't feel like the industry was ready for you. But now it's like, there's more openness, you said.
Yeah, it just felt like I wasn't pushing up an hill. Okay. It felt, I don't want to say easy because it's never easy, but it just didn't feel as strained. Okay. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like the people that I was meeting, the circles I was in, too many of them for it to be random or coincidence. Yeah. It was just like, I just keep getting these signs that I was on the right road. And so I just kept persevering with it and just taking it. I remember that, so I've got a journal.
Love a journal, yes.
And so I wrote in it, and I love going back to like, I love going back to like,
sometimes I'm getting so excited. I was like, when you go back and you read it, you read see where you were.
Oh my God, there was one day that I was going for something, and I think I was writing like, God, you are my agent, you are my director, you are my manager, you are my co-writer. And I'd written all this stuff down because obviously I was trying to do something. I was trying to go, and I was just trusting that God would take care of the how. And that was the whole thing. He took care of the how. So when people say, how did you do X? I have to always give the glory back to God because he was the how. I didn't act, I was there, I was obedient, when I was told to pursue something and I felt to pursue it. I remember driving and something coming up on my phone, an opportunity. I think, I'll do that when I get home. And God was like, no, you'll do that now. And I remember pulling over the car and sending my CV off. Okay. And immediately getting a call that evening. And I was thinking, well, listening to you works. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm being really honest. This is genuinely my experience. Like, I really felt God was speaking to me and I was listening and obeying. And with that, things just seemed to unfold. The right people came in and gave the right opportunities. I met the right people that put me in touch with more right people that then gave me, with my agent, it was through somebody who then, everything just linked. And it was like, this cannot be a coincidence. This isn't an accident. This feels very aligned. This feels very, preordained. And like, for that reason, I'm going with it. And I'm not, when you said earlier about, giving up. Yeah. It's not me. Okay. Does that make sense? It makes perfect sense. Because if God decides this is it tomorrow, then that's it. I will trust that. Okay. Do you know what I mean? Like, I am so grateful. The first time I was stepped on set, EastEnders. And I remember sitting next to Dot Cotton in the makeup chair. Now, you got to understand, my humble beginnings of my mum watching EastEnders, they were the shows that you grew up on. These are the characters, Phil Mitchell was in the group. I said, somebody watch me. What is happening? I know, and I remember doing the take and just even now, every time, and obviously I've done quite a bit of work these days. Every time when I hear "and action," the little girl that wanted to be an actress gets butterflies in her tummy and gets excited. That. And I think, and it's honouring that little girl. Yeah. That little girl from that council estate back in the day that watched those movies and I want to be an actress one day.
There it is.
And to now like actually be doing the job.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, look at God. Won't he do it?
I love that.
Won't he do it? Because we're talking like a good few decades of a dream realised. I'm living in answered prayers.
Yeah, I love that. That's brilliant. I also love that you said EastEnders. I think I can say this now because by the time it airs, this will be fine. By the time this airs, it'll be fine. But yeah, I just wrapped on EastEnders yesterday, which is really cool. It's so much fun.
It's the nostalgia of the show.
Yes, that's what hit hard.
It's the nostalgia of the show that you're like, let's be real. We all love the doof moment.
Of course.
And an omnibus.
100%. Christmas, the specials, everything.
I remember Tiffany and the Vic hitting her head. I was so hurt.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, anyway.
These episodes, so to be on that set and in that space, even in the smallest capacity, it felt very surreal to me.
Yeah.
And it was just like, of all the shows, listen, don't knock it, man. That show is legendary.
110%. My youngest sister, she's in her early 20s, and it's interesting. It seems like it's having a reinsurgence with that age group.
Yeah.
She is obsessed. And she's just like, I can't believe that you got to live through when this happened, when Stacey and so-and-so this happened. And I'm like, how are you guys so in love with the show? But it's really gripped them. So it's like, I think it's just a testament to what they did in their writing.
But yesterday I saw the clip with Trevor and Little Mo. It came up on my feed.
Oh, yeah.
And again, that was so pivotal and so important, that whole domestic violence thing. They covered some really, I think that I will never knock it. There is no sort of like, I'm like, mate, that's quality.
Yeah, man.
There's no, I'm too big for No. EastEnders is EastEnders. Put some respect on its name.
100%. I think I know the answer to this, but I was going to ask you, how do you stay grounded in the industry should you feel overwhelmed or if anything feels too loud?
I still go home.
There we go.
I'm still from that same family. You think, I'll tell you something really funny now. So when Do Not Disturb came out, my sister said to me, you was really good in it, SheRise. Against because obviously everyone, they're real actors. I said, sorry? I said, I'm a real actor. She said, no, you know what I mean though? I said, I trained. Yeah. I'm a real actor. Yeah, but I'm like, she could not get her head around that I'm a real actor too because I'm her sister. There. Does that make you asked me how I stay grounded. My family
humble you quick.
They humble you quick. Because she was telling me, it was a compliment. That I did well against real actors.
Right, thanks.
I said, wow. Because I didn't train like they trained.
Yeah.
She said, no, but because they're real actors, I said,
you just happened to turn
never going to get above my station.
There you go.
You're never going to happen.
It's mad. Someone said, I saw something, whether it was online or someone said, and it was kind of like, whatever you do or create, it's almost like, as much as you as the creator or the artist might think you're making something for your friends and family, it's not really. Because your friends and family see you too much as the sister or as the cousin or whatever. That's where you sit with them. So the post or whatever the soundbite was, it was more about don't expect them to be like your biggest supporters, say, in terms of maybe the likes, the follows, the shares or buying into stuff. That's just not how they kind of see you.
Yeah.
Whatever you're creating is for an audience or the people who don't know you. That's who if you're expecting support or you want that, I don't know, that uplift is going to come from the people that you're connecting from across the pond or wherever through your social media, whatever else. So if you can have that, I think it kind of takes away this disconnect from any expectation you might have in your family and things like that.
My family's really, don't get me wrong, they're really, they love it, they're proud of me. Yeah. I think it's really cool because they don't necessarily, because they know, so, like my sister's in the world, one of my youngest sisters, like she's a musician, she's an actor, she's a presenter, so she gets it.
Yeah.
But then obviously my other sister who doesn't work in the world is a bit like, she's just so supportive of everything.
Yeah.
But not really understanding, like if I say somebody's name, she has not got a clue who I'm talking about. Yeah. So I'm like, who do I, when you, that's why I understand what you're saying, like you go, I remember when I first met Shonda Rhimes.
Yeah.
I was like, And my sister went, I think I'm supposed to know who this is, but
did she do well? She does well. Okay. Do you know what I mean?
The penny didn't drop. And I was like, who is going to get excited about this? Like, they need to be excited about this. Like, this is big. Yeah. And it was hilarious because, like, I said, like, this happened yesterday, picture of me. And then they were like, okay, just tell me who it is and how excited I should be about it.
And then I'll get there for you.
And then I'll get there for you because, and that's the reality. So and that's absolutely fine. They don't live in the world like, so, do you know what I mean? Like,
I think it's necessary though as well in that space.
Because it keeps you grounded.
100%. And as you said, yes, they love and they support you. That's dope. But I think it helps give and shape perspective.
Yeah.
110%.
Keeps you very grounded in reality of life. And I think it's needed because it can get a bit, especially when you're talent. I love that I work in production as well as in front of the screen as well as behind the screen because it gives me more perspective because I'm like, talent is talent, but I'm also aware the other side of it because people will like, oh, can I get you this? Can I get you that? And it's so easy that you're like, oh, wow, I'm getting, but then when you go home, it's like, what's for dinner?
That washing needs to get done.
I promise you, I get or I might be at like a really important meeting and then my phone flashing like, oh, it's my son. It might be something important. Can I have £10 to get straight back to reality? Yeah. Let's be real about this. As much as I may be SheRise Blackman, I'm also mum.
Yeah.
And so mum has a job to do. Don't you forget that.
There we go. Did speaking of mum, did motherhood shift your sense of, I guess, self and ambition in any which way?
It made me more ambitious.
Okay, yeah.
It definitely made me more ambitious because you're going to bring these people into the world. You're going to tell them all this stuff. You're going to spend all this time. My children, I've learned by me doing rather than talking. I prefer to show them rather than, if I want my children to be kind, I be kind.
Yeah.
If I want my children to be patient, I demonstrate patience. I don't in this telling them, like obviously we come from a generation where you were told...
yes, we were.
Yeah, you were, I saw something really funny. I think a comedian said, he came out yesterday, I think it's Kev on stage, he said, what is the thing that your children have that you didn't? And he said, an opinion. And he said, an opinion. Because when we were growing up, we weren't allowed opinions. And so it's different time, And so for me, it makes me more ambitious because I'm like, the more I make ground, the more I show them that you don't, if a door is closed, then you go around it or you go, the more I demonstrate that, the more that when I'm no longer here or I'm not, like, they will understand, well, my mum did that. And even now, my daughter's older and what she's doing, I listen to her and I go, oh, that's my girl. That's my girl. Because what she's doing is she's taking it down her own route. She's her own person. Yeah. But she's also seen me not take no for an answer. Yeah. She's seen me go, oh, okay, you're going to underestimate me. Fine. That'll be fun for you. And she, when she's getting the world's at her feet, she's so young and it's just starting. But already she's like, Nose is a challenge. There we go. Nose is not a closed door.
There we go. Love
and I'm like, so yeah, it's made me more kind of like galvanized me more.
Yeah, understood. Did motherhood change the types of stories you wanted to tell or the way in which you were telling stories?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with Do Not Disturb, as it's a very female centered owning. It was again about having that agency in the storytelling, like telling stories that matter to me. And again, not just like my daughters, but also honouring my grandmother, honouring the women in my life that have shaped me and putting that out into the world. Yeah. There's lots of other stuff I can put into the world, but what means the most to me is when I get to give people that look like me a voice. Yeah. Oh, it just,
That's dope. What does balance look like for you now, if at all?
Oh, yeah. Balance is go hard for X amount of days and then you won't see me for X amount of days. There's just got to be that downtime now where I've got like a crazy schedule. I've got a crazy week and it's doing this. Next week is clear. So I've even said to next week's my week off. I gave myself my week off. My agent's like, okay, don't get me wrong, if Spielberg knocks tomorrow, I will break it.
I will be there.
If Ava DuVernay is on the phone, by all means, ring me. But next week I'm chilling.
Okay. I like you've touched on chilling because it's made me think of things like maybe self-care and taking care of yourself. And I know we touched on this a little bit, like how it can be actually just difficult to make sure you're giving yourself, off camera, we touched on this, just like giving yourself that time and just like grace. And how do you balance that for yourself? How do you make space for that? And also, why do you think women find that difficult to do at time? Why do they find it strange to do that?
I think we find it strange because we are the doers. So you do, I mean, again, you know, I'm all of the things, you know, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm all of these titles, but I'm also me. And so it's not been the easiest transition, but I am getting better at it. But what does me want to do?
Yeah.
How do I serve me? Which is very alien, because even biblically, it's still about serving others, which I think two things can exist at the same time.
Yeah.
You can still serve others. I do think that is definitely a calling and you should. However, you are a person too, and there should be some service coming your way. So I sit there and I go, okay, what does your day off look like today? It looks like going to the gym. It looks like then going for a bougie breakfast, brunch, because we love a bougie brunch.
Yes,
we love a bougie brunch. And then it's just going home, watching a show.
Okay.
I'm not cooking tonight. We're ordering in. It's giving yourself permission to have time. I mean, earlier this year, I took myself to Zanzibar for a solo trip.
Amazing. How was that?
Amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Amazing. The amazing. All of the amazings. Because I was like, I'm in heaven. I'm in heaven.
Always wanted to go. I don't know how or when or why I will find myself there, but it just looks like it's a place that you must visit.
I have wanted to go for 2 years, but been so busy.
Yeah.
And I knew this year was not going to be any easier. So I looked at my calendar and I went, I can go now.
Then
I booked it for the next day. I said, because I know as the year gets going, I'll blink, we'll be in December, and it will not have happened for another year.
Wow.
And I need to go to Zanzibar.
Oh gosh, how long for?
I must have gone for 5 nights.
Nice.
So it was a real, like, my calendar.
As you said, that was the time.
I looked at the calendar and went, I can squeeze it in here.
Oh my gosh.
Flew out, went on my own, stayed at the most gorgeous resort in the north, in Nungwi, and I was like, I'm in heaven.
Oh my gosh, what was the food like? Sorry, I'm taking a detour. This is just for me.
The food was incredible.
Really?
Even like eggs for breakfast. I was like, well, what are you doing with these? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like just a wrap on the beach. I was like, but this wrap is different. What have they put in this chicken wrap?
Oh my gosh.
Chicken stir fry wrap. The food was delicious. The people were incredible. So nice. Where I stayed, like, again, I bougied out, man. I got ocean view roof. I'm going now. I want to see the sea when I wake up.
Do it. Yeah.
And like, even like my bathroom was like, it was like outside but inside. So you could smell like the sea air. It was just, I was like, I'm in my eat, pray, love era.
Love it.
I said I'm in my eat, pray, love era. And there was a lot of praying and there was a lot of reflecting and there was a lot of just in my own time, I'll do this. But the where I stayed, the tide goes out midday, but it goes out by miles. So you can go down and literally, I've never seen, like, I've been there. It was just perfection. I needed that. And I needed that downtime. And because I went on my own, I didn't have to talk when I didn't want to talk. I didn't have to go and explore what I didn't want to go. I just did what I wanted to on my own time. And it was exactly what I needed to center me for this year. Yeah. And I was like, this year is my year of alignment. Perfect. And so if it knocks me off my... I've got to stay aligned and focused on what I'm doing. So I've actually decided now every January, I feel like I'm going to be taking a me time trip.
To get that winter sun
even
as
if
well.
it's 3 nights, even if it's for whatever it is, it's just time to recenter myself and regather myself.
Okay, that's nice. Okay. With, I guess, taking time to sort of recenter yourself, think about the things that you've done or about to do, etc. What has been your biggest, like, wow, like I did that moment career-wise?
There's been so many.
Yeah.
There's been so many. I think every time I think if I just look broader, I am an actor. I am a writer. I did that. That happened. God did that. That happened. Like, it's crazy because when you've prayed as a little girl, God, make me an actress. To actually go, oh no, that's what I am now. I actually still have to remind myself some days because you wake up at home in your room, everything's normal, take off your headscarf and you go, no, I actually am an actor. Yeah. I actually am a writer. That's incredible. Like, and then people say to me, like, I remember you I talk a lot, as you can see. And people said, but I remember you talking about this.
Now you're living it.
And people, like, I genuinely spoke about this. And this is at a time with no agent, no projects, nobody. I spoke of this. If you go back to 2016, 2017, I spoke, I want to go back into the industry. I'm thinking of going back into the industry. I'm going to try and go back into the industry.
Yeah. And
we're now 10 years down the line and I'm very much in the industry. I'm very much doing something. And it's like, I remember you saying this. That's amazing. And I'm like, I was talking to my neighbour yesterday. And she's like, it's incredible, SheRise.
Yeah.
And these are, I've been a civilian for a very long time.
Yeah. What would you say to, I guess, a mum who was in a similar position and she's now trying to think about, okay, can I get back into the industry? How do I do that? Should I do that? What would you say to a mum
if it's something that you've had inside you for such a long time, you absolutely have to honour it. What I think you need to do is be patient with yourself.
Okay.
And I think that's the difference for me. I really didn't think about it for a long time. And it wasn't like I gave up or anything. It was just like you said, it was a pause.
Yeah.
And I was focused on what I was doing. But it never left me. I still had that creativity.
Yeah.
I still was writing little bits. And
you were putting on shows for kids at bedtime.
At bedtime. Like, it never went away. But I absolutely owed it to myself. If it was not now, if it was going to be in 20 years from now, I owed it to myself to at least have a go.
Yeah.
And that's what I said to my husband at the time when we had the conversation. I said, I'm just gonna maybe see if I can do some, like, some amateur plays, some local theatre, just to kind of take the edge off. Because the creativity burns inside of you. If you're a creative, it burns inside of you. And I don't think you should be like, oh, well, my time didn't happen, because it can happen at any given time. Yeah. I think, like I said, this was my time. It wasn't before. It was now.
Yeah.
And so for me, absolutely give yourself that grace and space to say, and plan and approach. But I think the frustration in this industry can be, if it's not happening, then it's not happening. And I disagree with that. I run a program at the moment where I help people get into the industry. And I always say that, like, there are many routes in. I think what people do is look at the traditional route. Mine is a very non-traditional route in. And I think that we need to, and again, there are always new routes evolving. Yeah, your route could now be a route that someone didn't think of, and you've now created it. So just be optimistic. Use that wonderful thing that we have as creatives, as imagination, and imagine bumping into that person. Or I mean, people used to always say to me, "You're hilarious. You should have your own show." I was like, "Give it time." Give it time.
And now I do.
We're working on it.
I love that. Circling back to the wow, I did that question, looking at motherhood, this must be difficult to answer. Looking at motherhood, what has been your biggest, like, wow, I did that moment?
Every time I look in their faces. Every time I look in their faces, I look at them and go, oh, wow. When we went away for Christmas, and so we did the family holiday, I did my solo holiday afterwards, so no one could complain. And I was their designated photographer. Remember, I have older children now, so it's all about the gram. And I must have taken pictures of all of them. Like, they're like, "Mum, oh, that's wicked. Do one." Right, Mum. So, and then I made a little video of, like, just snapshots of them, and I literally tagged and I said, "I made this. George helped, but I made this." And it's like, these incredibly lovely, funny, charismatic, kind, decent people. Aren't I lucky? Look, am I blessed? So they are my wow moment every single day.
I love that. I guess pulling from that, I feel like I know all the answers now. Look at me. I was going to say, how would you define success in this season of your life?
Peace.
Yeah, nice.
If you've got peace, you are successful. You've achieved contentment and peace. And you can curate your own joy. You are successful. I think that's the key. It's not about, well, for me, I can't speak for anybody else, but for me, it's not about any outside validation. It's all internal. Okay. So I am successful because I told myself I'm successful, because I am pleased with what I have done. If I'm happy about it, then it's a success. So that's how I define, I set myself a challenge. I believe I've achieved that challenge. And I'm happy with how I achieved that challenge. then I'm successful.
That's dope. And that's also, I guess, in today's climate where everything can feel so outwardly like the validation and this and the other, it's quite a bold statement. It's odd that it should be a bold statement, but it is.
But it is, isn't it? Because people can interpret that as arrogance, whatever they want. But I'm really, honestly, I really value my own opinion.
You should.
I really feel like I'm qualified to talk about my own
my life, my own what I've been through,
how I measure.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's really got to be a inward thing rather than again, people will have opinions and that's wonderful. Everyone's entitled to an opinion. But so am I. And so if I thought it was dope, it was dope.
It is.
Okay, I'm glad you think it's dope too, but I think it's dope. And and I teach my kids the same. Yeah. Are you happy with it? Does it make you feel good? Are you proud of it? Don't let anybody take that away from you. If that's the feeling you have, don't let somebody else come in and rain on your parade. That's you stick with that, you protect that. You are happy with that. When I listened to the end of Do Not Disturb and I got through all the edits and I got to it, I thought, that is a wicked show. Whatever the world thought of it afterwards was whatever the world thought of it. But I was happy with it. So it was a success.
So love that. What's one belief you've had to unlearn to get you where you are now?
I knew you were going to give me a hard question. She's like, I'm not letting her leave until we give her something that makes her pause. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What I just said. So, believe it or not, I must be a decent actress because I do believe it, but it took a minute for me to understand that my voice matters, what I think is valid, and that's. Again, I think culturally growing up, sometimes being like, listen to your elders, listen to that. So I do think it was something I had to unlearn. My grandma said, prayers is no prayers at all. She used to love that one. But it is actually. And so unlearning that and going, oh, no, big up yourself.
Yeah.
That's okay. And my sister, SheRise loves herself. Yeah, but it's important. So on a serious note, I had to unlearn a lot of things that blocked me from giving myself my flowers because it didn't come natural. I mean, I can give flowers to everybody out there, but I had to unlearn that, you too, it counts. It counts. Okay. So it's, again, some people think it's come easily to me. If I'm really being honest with you, that isn't, it's something I have to reinforce.
Yeah. Understood. Okay. All right. To wrap up, we're going to do some quick fire questions. I always say quick fire. I always give this energy and then it ends up being another chat. We're going quick fire round questions. What we're doing. Right. You ready?
Go.
Okay, cool. Early mornings or late nights?
Late nights.
Ooh, script or improvisation?
Improvisation.
Ooh, nice. Fun. Okay. One word to describe motherhood?
Worth it.
Nice.
Okay, 2 words, but
smart. We'll take that. One word to describe the season of of life that you're in right now.
Oh, the best.
Oh, nice. And you were so excited with that. That's brilliant. Okay, cool. Your favorite way to reset when you're overwhelmed?
Pray.
Okay. A mantra you live by?
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Okay. Amazing. And one thing you're if you want to share this is risky. One thing you're currently manifesting. Techie, but then you can say it and then we can be like, look, she said it. A
series regular role.
Let's get it.
Series regular.
Done. Boom. SheRise, thank you so much for your time. So that's so going to happen. I felt that. But thank you so much for your time today. This has been brilliant.
Thank you so much. This has been fabulous. I'm so glad we made this happen. Yeah. I just love your energy and the way you host your podcast. And I am literally like, it's gonna boom. Because you're asking all the right questions.
Thank you so much. And it's mad, Nina was like, you need to get SheRise. Nina every day. Hi Nina, basically.
We love Nina. Right? Nina, love.
Yeah,
Nina.
All the things. But she's like, yeah, so have you contacted SheRise? I said, I don't know, I haven't done it yet. She goes, contact SheRise. And then I was like, okay, I'm doing it. But no, thank you so much for sharing.
No, I think that, again, everyone's got a story to tell. And if it helps one person go, that's all I want to do. Yeah. Like, I do think there's a reason I'm here. It's as much as it's lovely that I'm having a great time. Yeah. I do think there are people, looking, going, can I? And I'm like, yes, you can.
Yeah, and I think that's so important, especially in this space of motherhood, whether it's someone at the start of their journey thinking they want to be a mom or they're in it now. I think just people having examples and seeing blueprints of like, it can be done and this is how it's done.
I have 3.
Like, it's so important.
3 kids, babes. Yeah. And I'm still making it work. Do not tell me you can do it and you must do it. Because like I said, I will never take away from the fact that, I'm doing this for me and it's for me. But my goodness, those kids' dreams just cracked the ceiling when they saw their mama on TV. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember when I was in Line of Duty, they were my daughter was like, okay, it was kind of tough watching you die. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
That was hard.
Of course.
But they were all, when I was like my first few jobs, we were sat around my TV when they aired and my kids were like, check you out. My mama's famous. Like, but in such, I'm like, wow, I get to make my kids proud.
Yeah.
That, no one told me about that.
That's dope.
So yeah, man, do it. Do what you can do.
Yeah, cool.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This has been wicked.
And that's it. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with another mum who might need to hear it. I know so many mums listening will feel seen, inspired and encouraged by this episode. So as always, thank you so much for being part of the Milk Mummies community. Until next time.